co-founded a startup called Opta Technologies, which specializes in custom software development and streamlining the administration of small businesses and large corporates as well. So my failure story in business is based on lack of education and understanding the fundamentals of running a business. So when I started running a business, there's an emotion that rides in everybody about that comes from the perspective of being an entrepreneur that everybody has. We believe that entrepreneurship is about lifestyle and maybe posting our success stories on social media. We don't understand that there are proper fundamentals that you need to lay down for you to start running your business. So when I started running my business, when I started to get some little bit of income, I felt not that comfortable with the amount of monies that I was incurring, which was a little bit more than what I used to get from even getting a job, when you get a piece job or even getting employed. So basically you think you have reached that time where you really have to celebrate your successes in front of everyone, and then you start to live the dream too early. So basically that's where my failures come from. Most of my failures in business, they come from that aspect of living the dream too early. You won't understand where to reinvest your money and how to increase the capacity of your business, how to reach more customers. So basically when you live the dream too early, you become financially illiterate, because all you think is you gotta have some money so that you do something, or you gotta have money so that you show other people that you have that money. So basically what happens is you when you're ignorant to the fundamentals, principles of running a business, like where the economy is going and where the future lies for your business, basically what happens is when something like a recession or a crash happens in the economy, you are the first victim of that situation. So that was how I really failed at the first time with the inception. It's that excitement that you get when you start a business. You get an excitement that I'm now running my own thing. Failure usually comes in phases. You fail and then you get back to the starting blocks, and then you move into another stage. When you have overcome the certain failure, then you move into another stage, then you run it until you reach another obstacle that makes you fail again. And then when you fail, you go back to the drawing board and the cycle repeats. So basically when it comes to entrepreneurship, I would advise someone who wants to be an entrepreneur that failing is not something that you run away from, because you business is more practical than theoretical. It's not something that you read in a book and then you go and apply in the practical world. There is a risk and uncertainty in the world of business. So basically you know that whenever you're running a business, obstacles will come, but the most important thing is how you get back from that obstacle, which comes from understanding the mistakes that made you to fail. Usually failure comes from mistakes that are driven by certain emotion in business. So after I failed my first business, what I did was I go back to the drawing board, and I realized that my business was buying and selling. In other words, there's a difference between someone creating something and bringing it to the market, and someone collecting something from someone and bringing it to the market. So I went back to the drawing board. Then I realized I think what I need is to offer a service, which is something that I can create, or a certain aspect that I can create from the business, which I'll be able to determine the price, and I'll be able to determine its direction when it comes to policies and everything. So basically I wanted to form a company that owns something. So basically that's when I started to engage partners, and when I engaged partners, we then discussed the business, and then we moved on to coming up with a new organization. So with partners comes with resources, and each and every partner contributed a certain resource that they have, and then we moved on and we co-founded Opta Technologies, which a company that we are actually running right now.
Hey, yeah, hi Phil. Great meeting you.
Hi Geraldine.
I was really listening intently to your story, and I kind of picked a few things, and I could resonate with you. You want to show everyone that you're making it.
Yeah.
So tell me how that went. How are you really doing it? Were you buying flashy cars? What are you doing?
Not even cars. I think it comes from the background that we all come from, that we all grow up in. You grow up from a low-income society, and you grow up in an educational system that teaches you to compete. So basically, you go to school, you got good grades, and then you fail. I wasn't really that good in academics, but I wouldn't say I wasn't intelligent. But the journey that I took was quite difficult for me, for the sake of maybe, I think, in terms of finances, and I couldn't proceed with my with my courses. So when you start to run a business, sometimes, in Zimbabwe, you don't just there's what we call African tax in Zimbabwe. In Africa, if I may say, Europeans and other continents, they were born with trust funds, and they are born rich most of the times. But in Africa, there's a code, they say chirere chizogurerao. Usually I call that African tax. You are born poor already because your parents are expecting something from you. So when you grow up in that society, you always want to make that kind of money so that you are able to provide for your families, provide for your mothers, everything. So basically what happens is, when you take the channel of starting a business, before you even go get employed, because I always started a business, I was much more like a hustler. I would go to the streets and I would start selling other people's cell phones or laptops, something like that. So basically, if people see you in the streets, you are much more like a failure. You have failed in life, basically, because you look like maybe you're a change money, or you're just a vendor, if I may say. So when you start to run a business and some sort of income comes in, you have to show off some of it, some of the money that you're making.
That I'm like making it.
Exactly.
Like people, if you think that I'm not making it, then yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about the time you hit rock bottom, when you realized that this is not working.
Yeah, I think 3 days after the transitional stabilization program was introduced, there were currency reforms that were announced by the minister and the governor. And this is something that I think we were all optimistic about the future in business, but we did not understand the implications of the fundamental principles of the new economy that was coming in. So you remain ignorant to that. And then I had some money that I had in my EcoCash accounts, my bank accounts, of which what we used to do, this was hustling basically. So we would buy stocks from South Africa. So you convert your bonds to US dollars. So basically the rate started to fly away, and I was just comfortable that, the process is the same. If I just buy my money, then buy my stock. But basically what happened is, in 3 days, my stock could only buy maybe just pouches and earphones, and overnight I was back to square one. And so you would realize that there is a time when I couldn't even reinvest into my stock. There was a time when I couldn't even reinvest into myself by maybe just educating myself about how to run a business. There was a time when I couldn't even reinvest in myself in a lot of things, but I would just get the money so that I would spend it, knowingly that eventually I'm going to get some, because I still have that stock. So you have a certain limited stock, and when something like that happens, it becomes very difficult for you to come back, because you're back to square one. And then you realize that I was just showing off and I didn't have money. My money was just on social media, but realistically, I didn't have money.
Yeah, true. So I think what's important is that you're here and you learn something.
Exactly.
There's always a lesson in every failure.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
it's been really interesting knowing more about the journey.
Yeah.